Welcome, everybody, to the TFW podcast. It's cut and shoot version. And before we get started, y'all, I owe you guys something. It's been about 2 months since the last episode. A lot of changes behind the scenes. The show shifted. Life got busy for me. Peak season. I work retail, so even when I work retail, that was a long, hard hours for people. If you know, you know. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue doing this during this time period. I had a lot of stress on me. And when the format changed, everything kind of reset. And I found myself asking, do I have the time for this? Do I have the energy for this? Do I have the passion for this? And during the holidays, the answer wasn't clear for me. So instead of forcing it, I took a step back. I refocused, retooled. I handled real life. I handled work. I handled the family. And I realized something. I don't miss wrestling. I miss the conversation. I miss the debate. I miss the energy. And when Katrina and Brandon said they'll do this with me, not out of obligation, but because they wanted to, that reminded me why I did this in the first place. This is about family. So this isn't a comeback. It's a reset. Welcome to the Cut and Shoot podcast. I got Brandon. What's up? What's going on, my man?
What's going on, my guy? It's been a minute. It's good to see you. Good to see you looking good and feeling healthy.
Appreciate you. He says, like, I've actually been sick. I had COVID I had COVID at Christmas, and then a week ago we came down with the flu. I went to work and had 102-degree fever, still trying to push through it. And I'm like, you know what? Let me take my ass home. Introducing new to the podcast format, my lovely and beautiful wife. You guys aren't going to see her today because she's being a little shy. But my beautiful wife, Katrina, will be moderating the show. Hello, my love. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, babe. Thanks for having me on the show. Happy to assist today.
All right, y'all. Look,
Welcome.
it's
Thank
new
you.
format, new energy, same passion. Let's talk wrestling. What we got today, Katrina?
All right. Today we're talking about rising stars in WWE, whether Triple H is actually doing a good job running creative, and if WrestleMania season really feels big this year. So let's start here. We've got a lot of new talent. It feels like a lot of new talent is getting major spotlight right now. And are we actually watching the next generation taking over?
You know, Brandon, I've been sitting on this for a long time. I've actually been wanting to do a podcast with you guys for the past couple of weeks, but things are just timing hasn't been hitting. But I had this on my back mind, and rising stars I want to talk about first is Trick Williams, Oba Femi, and JaVale Evans. And let's start with Trick Williams first, Brandon, because on our very show and our very channel, I want to say a couple months back, we had a lot of conversation. I guess there was a lot of discord online about Trick Williams and was he ready and will he be ready for the main roster? And it bogged my mind. Like, I was almost offended that it was conversation about if Trick Williams was ready for the main roster. And a lot of it came back down to his wrestling. His wrestling was holding him back. And I was like, what are we talking about? If Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg could be in the Hall of Fame, you mean to tell me Trick Williams at that point in his career wasn't ready for the main stage? I couldn't believe it. And the reason why I couldn't believe it, Brandon, it's not just because it was the wrestling thing that bothered me. It's because Trick obviously has it. He oozes it. When you listen to him and talk in interviews and he's just being himself, you hear the gift of gab. You hear how easygoing, how good of a person he sounds. If you watch him perform on the microphone and the energy he gets from the crowd, it's like undeniable that this is what the game's been missing. He has, and has always had, more charisma, more mic skills, more it factor than 90% of the industry. He has that unique thing that some wrestlers never get. And so if he never became the wrestler that the IWC wanted, he would still have that in the back of his pocket. And that would translate greatly on a WWE programming. So for me, when I watched him, I've been watching him since he's moved up to the main roster, and you see how instant the crowd has taken to him. Like, right in Saudi, overseas, everybody's singing a song, bro. Like, right. And not only is the crowd with him when his interest, that's one thing, because this version of WWE audience, they love crowd participation, right? They like the chant. They like that. They love that stuff, right? But when he's in the ring across from Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, all these other big stars, he looks like he belongs. The segment, I think a couple weeks ago, where he was in the ring with Sami Zayn. Sammy been on TV for like 10 years in WWE, right?
Of
Trick looked like the bigger star.
course he
He
did.
looked like the bigger star. He looked like he was making Sammy look bad because of the way he talked, his charisma. Like he was almost smothering like Sammy in the ring. And that's kind of Sammy's thing. He's kind of the underman and that type of thing, whatever. But the star power, it seemed like he had been on the show forever. So Brandon, for me, the transition that we've seen from Trick, I feel like Trick will probably be better, much like Bron Breakker. He'll be better on the main roster due to the experience of working with more experienced talent. And then the thing with WWE is star power and it factor. For me, no question, Trick Williams is going to be a future world champion. What say you, Brandon?
Trick has that. What's the French saying? That je ne sais quoi, uh, which translates into I don't know what. But he has it. I remember over the course of the last couple of years and kind of participating in some of this wrestling conversation with you guys that the jury was still out on Trick on whether or not he was progressing the way he's supposed to progress down at NXT. There was discourse about whether or not he was ready over Carmelo when Carmelo got called up a year ago. And I truly think that extra year down at NXT allowed him to kind of get to where he's at right now. He didn't have a crutch in Carmelo to kind of lean on when it comes to a feud or a companion within a faction or something like that. He was kind of figuring out on his own based on how they was kind of booking him. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's on record in saying that brief stint over in TNA with the TNA and NXT partnership did some good for him as well in terms of being in a, for lack of a better term, big boy locker room over at TNA and getting some reps with some of those vets over there. I like where Trick is at. We've talked about it in conversations before with WWE. Presentation makes a lot of difference. And if I'm not mistaken, Trick's debut was perfect on SmackDown. It gave him the wide angle shot when his music hit. It was a beautiful presentation. I like that he comes out in like that all white. I think eventually he's gonna have to switch that up, but
I like that all white too. I think that's his thing too. His all white. He does the white and gold.
Yeah. I think he's got the right catchphrases. He's obviously got the music. People bite on the lemon pepper stepper phrase whenever he said or whatever. And he's himself. He's still, I mean, you can tell Booker T is one of his favorite wrestlers and one of his biggest influences. But he's still himself. It doesn't feel like he's biting off of Booker T in terms of how he's presenting himself.
No, he's totally originally Trick. I don't think there's another guy. I can even another African American wrestler. I can't think of somebody who he reminds me of. He seems like an original character, which is great.
Yeah. But he's being presented extremely well, and I think they've handled him with the most appropriate care over the last 2 years leading up to now.
Yeah, for me, like, and actually, I like the white. 'Cause I think it kind of stands out because like wrestlers nowadays, and I'm everything's black, like right.
Mm-hmm.
So he's draped out in white, with the furs. I think he was I think he was at some basketball game. Maybe it might have been an All-Star game.
It was him and Lash. They were at a Raptors game. Yeah.
What Glorilla was there, and he had the white. So he's doing his gimmick, man. Because when I think about his wrestling, right? Because there's always a thing about his wrestling. I didn't really think his wrestling was that bad. Now I don't like his finisher. That trick shot looks kind of soft to me. I think at some point he probably needs to get a new finisher like that, because like the knee don't really knee. You know what I'm talking about? Right. It don't really. Kenny Omega does the knee where he has like his little his knee, and like I know he probably smacks his thigh or something, whatever. But it seems vicious when he does it. Like if you turn your head, you'll miss Trick doing the trick shot. Like right, like I think he needs to.
Shinsuke does something like that too, right? With the Kinsasha.
Yeah, but he has a whole little setup, so it kinda adds to it a little
Mhm.
bit. I think it's a little comes off a little better than Tricks,
No, I
but as far
agree.
as it but as far as his wrestling, I never had a problem with it. Because let me ask you a question. You weren't super familiar with Zack Ryder, right? Because you kinda missed his initial run. So you've seen him as Matt
Zack
Cardona
Ryder,
when
is
he
that
came back, right?
AKA Matt Cardona, right?
Matt Cardona. You've
Right, right,
seen a
right.
couple of Matt Cardona matches. What do you think about Matt Cardona matches?
He's not a great wrestler. I mean, he's a physique, big dude. Like, I mean, I wouldn't call him a like master of the mat or anything like that, but he can get over.
And so I had to say this, man. I like Matt Cardona. I like Zack Ryder, but I feel like he's a boring ass wrestler, man. He is
Okay.
boring as hell. So I'm saying that I say all that say this when we talk about like his ring work. If he just does Zack Ryder style wrestling, he'll have a long career. No one says that Matt Cardona is a bad wrestler, but he's ultra
Mhm.
boring in the ring. Like there's
Mhm.
so many dudes where it's not really about what they do in the ring, it's about the emotions that they garner from the crowd. Like, right?
Mhm.
Can they get people invested into a match? Katrina, actually, I'm gonna throw you in. I'm gonna ask you a question about when you watch wrestling, because and to give you the fans, the freaks, a very heads up. Katrina is a very, very casual fan of wrestling, to put it mildly. And so
True.
This
I think
translates into she likes hot dudes.
so. She could give a different perspective. She's not gonna have a wrestling bubble opinion on wrestling, like, right? But one thing about Katrina, when I take her to the shows, I've discussed this on the podcast. I've taken her to multiple shows. She's been to all the WrestleManias with me, and she always seems interested in the show. Like she watches the show.
Mhm.
Katrina's never it seems like she's disinterested. She's engaged. She's there with it 100%. When you do go to a show, Katrina, what about the WWE experience really grabs you as a viewer?
Mm. I would say, 1, I love the production. I think they do an amazing job with the production, and, that is really, kind of helps to that excitement and feeding off of the crowd, of course. The WWE fans are such very passionate people, and that energy, is transferable. And, watching it over the years because you've watched it, I've learned some of the songs, I know some of the wrestlers. And, so being able to be there, in those arenas is always, kinda like, "Yeah, that's like th."
Mhm.
But yeah, WWE definitely does a phenomenal job, I think, in the presentation and production of things, and that's something that is captivating.
And who's one of your more favorite wrestlers, people that you actually like on the show over the years?
Um, so I've liked, well, of course, right now, Cody, um, Triple H. I used to like him a lot. I
If I'd known that, we
do.
would've got divorced a long time ago. Keep going.
John Cena, of course. You can't see me. Let me see who else. I've loved Becky Lynch. I've loved my girl Sasha. I used to have her little ring. And, I mean, I know she's no longer with us there, but, that was where she started. Um,
But
it's
she's
been a
still
lot of
alive.
different talent. Yeah, I
I'm like,
know.
"Wait a
She's
minute,
still
like, somebody
alive. I'm
died?
just saying she's
Alright, did
no
somebody
longer on
die?"
that show.
Like,
No
wait a
longer
minute.
with us.
We do cover other programs too on this show, just to let you know, Katrina, we're not exclusive to WWE. So I'm like, "Wait a minute, like, well, who's she about
I
to
just
say?"
mean she's
I'm
no
like,
longer on the show, guys.
"Well, we cover other shows, it's okay. You can be a you can she's Mercedes
Okay.
Monet now, so
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can still like her and talk
Yes,
about it."
Miss Monet.
So just quickly, what about those wrestlers do you generally like?
A lot of times it's their personality in the ring, their energy, whether they're like, with Sasha, it was her, um, kinda I'm the best of the best kind of a thing. And with John Cena, it was, oh, I'm the good guy. But, just his quirkiness was kind of like entertaining to me. And you do start to, over the years, have some type of connection with those wrestlers, right? That um, you like their theme song, you like how they present themselves, and that ultimately is, I think, what intrigues you.
Mhm. Quick
And so,
question, Katrina. I'm sorry, E.
go
I do
ahead.
this all the time. I always take us into a tangent. With you being so
No, this is what
passionate
you're here
about
for.
John Cena,
This is what you're here for, Brandon, for your
sweet.
insight.
Did you like the heel run for John Cena? Did that break your heart?
I didn't, but you know what? I'm never a big heel fan, to be quite honest with you.
Okay, gotcha.
When my good guys turn bad, I'd be like, oh,
Well, see,
like
I don't
it's
think you
just
saw a
not.
lot of it though.
I didn't.
You weren't. She wasn't really watching a lot of that.
I'm just not into the hillside aspect of it. I'm always for the good guy. So
I love a good heel. I
yeah.
like heels.
But
Gunther
Brandon, the reason
is
why I was
a great heel right now.
But Brandon, the reason why I was asking her about that is that so you listen, to Katrina. Now, Katrina can't speak for all the casual viewers of the
Right.
show, right? Just give you a different insight. She never mentioned anything about the wrestling or the wrestling moves, right? It was the personalities, it was the energy, it was
All the
Yeah.
en only the energy. That's what
Right.
Imma tell you. I don't have, now when Shawn Michaels was wrestling, the Heartbreak Kid move, I think, I learned
see
about
that she called
that
it the
and
Heartbreak Kid move.
whatever it's
You
called.
see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? But no, I'm saying that to say all this is that she knows what she likes. She doesn't know the name of it, right? Because she's not
Yeah,
super into it or was into it like that. She just knows what she like. When we talk about Trick and when he make it, there's so many of the fans that have that opinion of it. Like, right? Wrestling is a thing that happens on the show. It's not
Mhm.
the thing that happens on the show. It's not what resonates with those people. It's the personalities and the investment they get. Now they're going to
definitely.
get into the match because Katrina's going to get into a match not because she cares about how John Cena does the FU, but she's invested in his character and she wants him to win. She's invested into his story. Whatever he said was important, she hopes that he can overcome, right? So that's the thing that when we talk about like if these guys are going to make it, it has nothing to do with how good of a suplex they throw. It has everything to do, can they draw emotion and make people feel something? And Trick Williams, I know, can do that. Let's talk about somebody else who can make people feel something, man. Oba Femi. Brandon, on this very show, I think there's some discord about, and I think at the time Matt was, yeah, it was like a hot take for him. I think this was his personal
Mhm.
opinion, but I think I heard some people say this about, well, whether Oba Femi was going to make it or not. And
Mhm.
now this dude, big dude, athletic, looks the part. He looks more the part probably than anybody else. So when they say he's a can't miss prospect, absolutely. And I am ecstatic that he is catching on with the audience very quick. Actually, quicker than I thought, to be honest with you, because like they're into the chants, they into the big moves already. And right, a lot of times, a lot of the larger audience on Raw and SmackDown, they're not familiar with the work of NXT. So
Mhm.
they don't know the spots and the different chants and things of that nature. But it's already kind of simulated over to those shows, which is shows that this dude is what a lot of people said. He is a can't miss prospect. And in the Royal Rumble, we don't have to go too far into it. But man, when he stood next to Brock, I'm like, damn, I want to see that. Like he already looks like he belongs. What do you think about
Presentation.
that, Brandon?
Presentation. They
Yeah.
they gave it to us in the most appropriate manner. He got the same treatment as Trick when he came up. When he's come out, you get that wide shot on TV. I'm a big fan of like him just standing there in that silhouette, and he go, "Hoo, hoo," and then start walking. Dude, I'm a
You talking
big
about
fan of that.
that little strut he does?
That before when
Like,
he go, "Hoo, hoo," then he
yeah,
started doing the strut.
yeah.
Um, I think it's all about presentation. It truly is. And they do a good job of spoon feeding who's going to be a big star in their company. I know a lot of wrestlers come down to NXT and be like, "Oh, I thought I was a good wrestler until I learned the psychology of it behind it." Like I think WWE goes so far into psychology that they truly understand the formula of we're going to present somebody in the very best form. Like when they have somebody that's going to be big, they make them big. And like they know it. Like the people within that company, they know it at a very early point. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of getting them from point A to point C, which is main roster, and presenting them to the world. Like Oba is incredible to see. Like, I mean, when he got showcased, it got cut short on the Saturday night main event when he went
It
up
was with
against
Cody.
Cody. But
Yeah.
like, he looked comfortable.
Yeah.
He
And the
looked
crowd kinda got
comfortable.
into him already, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, this dude looked like they I don't think they knew exactly who he was, but the way he carried himself, he
Hmm.
looked like somebody that belonged in the ring with Cody, which says a lot about him."
And it helps when you have people on the main roster like a Randy in regards to Trick bringing him along, or Cody bringing Oba along in a match. Like that makes a difference. So presentation, and when they've ID'd this is going to be a major star,
Your superstar.
that machine that people talk about, oh, it starts to run with no issues whatsoever. Like it's a full functioning
Mhm.
machine, like well oiled when they get a
I
guy that
just
they know is going to be big.
I think back to when Roman Reigns first came out and how, people weren't really feeling him, but how, they pushed him along so much, and eventually, what happened? The
Hmm.
fans, they accepted him, right?
Hmm.
He became the hero. He was the guy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting that you bring that up, surrounding like a lot of talk around him and CM Punk, and that mention he made about the pod, and how CM Punk said when he brought him into the Shield, Vince would always tell him make Roman look good. But I mean, when they know they have a guy, I
Mhm.
would imagine that is the discord between management and talent when you are building the stars. Like, yo, I don't.
Definitely.
You're gonna make this dude look good no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the WWE puts that rocket on somebody, it's like no other.
Hmm.
Um, Javon Evans. Like, he was out of the 3 of them, I was a little more worried about him, not because I didn't think he had the talent or the skill. Actually, I thought he had a unique it that's different than, like, Tricks, right? He had it, but I think it was unique, and I think he had to be presented a certain type of way and have the right people behind him to really understand who he is as a character and where he needs to go. 'Cause it depends on the person.
Hmm.
Like, depends on the person. He definitely there's regardless of, race or gender, there's certain people that stand above that, right? It doesn't matter their color, their creed,
I'm
sexual
with you.
orientation, like, they just like Trick, Oba, like, those it doesn't matter. Like, those are bona fide stars. Javon has the it, but in a he's kinda geared towards a younger, screwed audience
He
that
meets
older people may not understand.
he
You know
meets a
what I'm talking about?
demographic. Yes, he meets a
I'm trying to
demographic
creep
for that.
around it nicely, Brandon. You do a
No,
better
no,
job with that than me.
he he meets the demographic of that 18 to 24, maybe 18 to 35, whatever the TV rating window is, or age range, that 18 to 36 or whatever it is. He
That
meets
the
that
younger one, yeah.
he meets that demographic for them, and he transcends race in a way, in my opinion, in a way that every kid is connected to him. I think he's going to have one of the bigger careers of those three, um, because he's athletic. He's relative to a lot of young people. Um, you're probably going to increase the number of black people that watch wrestling because of him.
He seems like
Tricking
somebody
over,
he seems like somebody that you can see around the corner, like somebody you would talk
yes,
to. He seems
yes.
like somebody
He
very
speaks
around the
like
way.
the fan that is
Yeah.
going to like him, and I personally believe he'll have a career on the same trajectory, if not bigger, as like a Rey Mysterio, like a high flyer. I think he eventually gets some titles around his waist. I think he's going to be somebody that'll be a long-term babyface. You might get him into a faction where he becomes a heel, but eventually he becomes a hero again. But I think the majority of his career, he's a face that people love, that he goes crazy for. Like, it would not surprise me if what he did this past week on Raw has several million views right now. I don't know if you saw Raw, but that crazy OG cutter from across the
Yeah.
ring
I had to think about it.
mid-air
Okay, yeah.
is
They did a good job with that too
incredible.
because they replayed it multiple times. It was perfect too.
Yes.
It was perfectly executed. Yep.
Yes, the way they
And
shot it.
segue though too on that, right? We talked about that one spot. I said like they've showed this spot multiple times, right?
Mhm,
Big spot on the show. That's one thing that AEW needs to do better because when they have those moments on their show, it happens
mhm,
and then they move quickly to something else.
mhm.
They did a really good job of making that moment matter.
That moment will be replayed for years. That will eventually make a WWE top 10 Raw moment, top
Never seen
10.
anything like that before.
Never.
Yeah.
That was insane. And and what makes it even better for me is that that is a moment that was interwoven with the two Americano situation. Like, I just thought they did a really good job with that match, that entire kind of underlying feud between the Americanos and that. Like, I just thought that was phenomenal.
You know
So
what else you know what I like, Brandon? Is that,
was
so, like, he has, like, his little catchphrase, so he was doing this little move, he's like, "Your boy
yeah,
is," and the crowd chanted,
bouncy.
"Bouncy."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to
I was
ask
like,
Cam. I was like, "What is he saying?" He was like, "Oh, they saying bouncy." I was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah,
Because
that's his
Cam
thing,
watched him
"Bouncy."
more in NXT. So yeah, I think that's dope too. Like, he's got it.
And
Like,
things like that, where they interact with the crowd, I think is definitely one of those things
mhm,
too that makes your
mhm.
fan be all in.
Yes, his connectivity to the crowd and people that look like him wanting to do what he does or come to the shows to see him is going to do numbers over the next 3 to 5 years for him. Like, he'll eventually get the Intercontinental title because he's on Raw, but I think he has a career like Rey Mysterio for sure.
He could
And
be there.
and
Yeah,
Rey Mysterio, Hall of Famer, easy.
yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
when he peaks, oh, he's gonna peak. And it's
Yeah.
gonna be like it'll be a decent run of a few years, I think.
Yeah, I was really
And
excited. Go ahead, Katrina.
I was gonna say, and when you talk about like Rey Mysterio, I would say you're like your Rey Mysterio, your Kofi, your what's the name? Ricochet. Those wrestlers have great energy as well too in their acrobaticness and delivery of their moves. Those are more of that engaging type um, factors that make you be like, "Oh wow, this is awesome."
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, for a Ricochet, like, Javon can move like Ricochet, but he connects better with the audience than Ricochet did.
Yeah,
A
because Ricochet
in
was kind of quiet.
in WWE now, in AEW, he's really figured it out, but in WWE, I don't know if they gave him the opportunity or, he had the right character at the time, but just going back to him, man, I gotta tell you, like, when he hit that move and he did his little "Your boy is," and the crowd chanted "Bouncy," I was so excited for him that he's getting over with the audience,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, right? Because back to my original point about him, I felt like he was the one to where, look, older people who may not understand the culture and that type of character, they may not push him properly, right? But it seems
Mm,
like they're featuring it in a certain in just enough to where the audience understands, and
Mhm.
that's important because if the audience is getting it, they have no choice but to look at him and make sure he's being taken care of and he's
Mhm.
pushed
definitely.
properly. So I'm really ecstatic. He was the one out of the threes where I thought, like, man, if you don't have the right people behind him, he may not go far. Because this has been a lot of black athletes who
Mhm.
are really good in the ring that didn't really get their just due. I think Kofi's another one. Trina brought up Kofi. Kofi's had a great career. Um, I think that he, as a single competitor at certain points in his career, could have been a little bit higher. If they would have just given him a better push and maybe understood the character.
Mhm.
But I'm really excited for Javon. And so going back to conversations we had maybe a year ago, where there was a big Discord, Brandon, online about WWE pushing black superstars.
Mhm.
Like, right, and, you know, they had that run of, PLEs where there were no black
Mhm.
wrestlers on the show. That was like a big discord,
Mhm.
from the IWC, right? And I'm a big culture guy myself. And I don't know at the time if I felt like that was a fair assessment, just looking at the roster in itself. 'Cause I didn't see who should be on the show. Now you gotta think about it. These shows are only doing 4 or 5 matches. So,
Mhm.
right, so it's like it's the bigger stories that are playing out on these PLEs, and I didn't see on the shows who there was necessarily being featured that should be represented on these PLEs, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I don't think the New Day was even heel at that time, and when they
Mhm.
did turn, you know, they weren't fighting anybody. Like, right, and that's one of the bigger disappointments with New Day and their heel turns, that the WWE didn't have ready-made programs for them so they can really excel in their role. It was kind of just them going out there doing their thing, but they had nobody to play off of. They had the LWO, who was like sucks the charisma out of the room. Like, right, those guys are terrible. Um, and then I don't remember if Carmelo was on the roster at the time. And maybe if we want to say that maybe he should have been bigger, given a bigger role, I absolutely agree with that. But let's make it about Carmelo and not saying it's black wrestlers in general. Let's
Mhm.
be specific. Let's talk about, hey, Carmelo should be on these shows. But I don't think you can say that now. I don't think you're going to have that problem going forward for the future
Mm-mm.
with Trick. Well,
'Cause
we've already seen Trick, you know, he
it's Friday Night
in the main
Blackdown
event.
now.
Oh man, Friday night, I think about you every time I watch SmackDown. Friday Night Blackdown, man. Katrina,
'Cause,
back in
I
the day,
mean,
you remember. Katrina,
Lash
you
is
remember back in the
featured on
day.
there a bunch now. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's yeah. We there.
But
We here.
one thing for Katrina, Katrina doesn't watch SmackDown often, but she remembers UPN. You remember UPN back in the day, right, Katrina?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you know,
Homeboys
there's a
from
lot
Outer
of black
Space.
shows.
Mhm.
So
Terrible
we always
black
had a
shows.
joke. So we always joke that SmackDown is taking it back to the UPN days, to where
Oh,
we got
goodness.
a lot of black stars on the show, Brandon. So we got, as you talked about it, you know, I'm not sure where Oba's went yet. I didn't see SmackDown, but we got Trick. We got Lash
Yeah.
was featured heavily. Carmelo was being featured prominently and getting over.
Mhm.
Jade as the women's world champion. I think she's doing
Mhm.
a good enough job. You know, I didn't realize she hadn't defended her title in a while. I guess that was a conversation at IWC. But that's
Yeah.
another conversation. We're not gonna do it. But I feel like WWE
What's
has the culture correct.
what's Julia's handler's name?
Kiana James.
Apparently she black too.
Apparently she is black. He said-
so so it's a lot of blackness on that show.
She's a sister. Yeah, that's a sister. She's very fair skinned, like So Ruka. I'm not sure where she's gonna be called up on. Um,
It's only
but
right.
yeah, man, I had said
That's
a
the
long
black
time ago.
pipeline now.
Oh, for sure. I said when we're having this discord about, you know, black wrestlers not being on these PLEs, I just said like maybe the wrestlers aren't on the roster yet, but they're coming. A lot of these people were in NXT. I
Mhm.
remember seeing a spread, I think they did, and it's just celebrating all the black athletes. And it was like about 11 or 12 of them, right? And most of them were down in NXT. So I'm like, though, don't worry about, you know, black
Coming.
representation. It's
It's
coming.
coming. Yeah.
And now we got it. And they are featuring these people. And I almost feel like at this point, they can't, like, you have to feature Trick. You
Mhm.
have to feature Oba. Javon is going to get himself over. Kiana's not going to figure it out. I think she looks good. She's going to have to figure it out, man. I'm not really, well, we're going to move on to the next topic, Katrina, in a moment,
Yeah.
but her and Julia, like, I feel like it's an odd couple. It don't meet for me. I feel like they need to go ahead and maybe split them and do something else. But we got, and we listen on the UPN SmackDown, we got, you know, B-Fab is in there still representing. Meechin is still representing. Like, right?
Yep.
So we got a lot of people that
Yeah.
we can see, watch on that show and say, yeah, I got somebody I got in common with. We can keep rolling, man.
You're awesome.
But what we got? We got next,
But wait,
Katrina.
real quick, you guys didn't say though who did you think was gonna be your rising star for this year?
For this year?
Who's the biggest future right now?
I don't know. Last time I did this, I picked Carmelo, and it was not even. It was just out of everybody, not
Mhm.
not black people, and it felt like on the last day of the damn year they put the belt on him. Rising star. I could see Javon Evans getting the Intercontinental title on Raw before the end of this year, as
Okay.
opposed to Trick maybe getting the United States title. Who's the? Oh yeah. Oh, maybe Trick and Mello rehash they little feud they used to have. I feel like they'd be more. Nah, because technically Trick is a heel, so I'll go with Javon Evans. I'm basing Big Gear on if you're gonna win a title, so I'll go with Javon.
What
You
about you,
know,
babe?
unfortunately, I still think that the titles are just props. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I know it's not a popular opinion. It's safe. I mean, I don't feel like that. I feel like the wrestler makes the title. Like Gunther made the IC title relevant.
For sure.
Right? Like he was such a great champion. His matches were really good. He was a compelling character. You wanted to see him get beat or beat somebody, right? Like, and so his title and it mattered. So I feel like Carmelo's doing a good job with the US title. You know, he's really representing that. So I feel like it kind of depends on who gets that title. But for me, I'm going Trick is 1A, Oba is 1B. I feel like Oba is a very safe bet because again, he has all the characteristics of a stereotypical wrestler and what a promotion will look for in a big man. He stands out. But Trick has that it.
The
Almost,
it
I'm gonna go as
factor.
far as says he has it almost to the extent of The Rock.
Wow. I
I feel
have to
like
see this guy.
his personality, his gift for gab, the way he can command the microphone and the ring verbally and in his backstage segments. I feel like I haven't seen a wrestler do that
Okay.
in the same way as The Rock.
That's a
And I
big
feel
take.
like from a
Brandon's not
storytelling,
agreeing.
from a storyline
I'm not
perspective,
disagreeing, but woo, that's a label to put on
from
somebody.
a storyline perspective, you can do so much with a character that has so much personality and presence that you can put him in there. He can carry segments. He can carry storylines, like
Okay.
just from his own presence. So I feel like from that proponent, like he's poised to have a big year. And I don't see just the US title. I mean, that might be a stepping stone. I think this man by 2027 will have a world title around his waist.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
What? Yeah. Mark this. Timestamp this.
Timestamp it. Let's
Hey,
do
look,
it.
what I'm not gonna do is could say like I don't think that's that hot of a take though, but on this show, a common thing that Matt Rhodesia would do, and I don't know if they did it intentionally, but it would happen. They would say something really outlandish, and then they would stand on and say, "Mark my words," right? So when they say "Mark my words," when they would say "Mark my words," and they would do it with attitude too, right? Mark my words, like it's the way to do it. It's like an attitude about it, right? Because like it's almost like they know they're wrong, but they don't went so far
They're
down trying to make the
passionate
point.
about.
Yeah, they don't went so far down making the point that they just gonna stand on at this point. So I'm not gonna do that because this ain't a mark my words.
You gotta
This ain't a
mark
mark
your
my
words.
words. This is because
You gotta stand on business now, buddy.
This is something I truly believe and it can actually happen. This ain't. I'll give you a take. The first time it happened on the show, because Cody, Rhodesia, and Matt, they like him, but they don't like him like that. I always said they like him, but they don't like him like that. So Matt has said Bron Breakker and Gunther will mean more to the WWE in 2 years than Cody. Something like that. They're going to mean more to the WWE than Cody. And I'm like, wait a minute. Cody had just got the championship at this point, right? He's hot in his run. He's hot off the, finish your story thing. He's doing it for the daddies. You know what I'm saying? He's a merchandise mover. Like at this point, he was moving more merchandise than John Cena at this point. Like, right? So how, in my mind, I'm like, how do you think that this dude in 2 years is going to like come off that wave? And Bron Breakker, who's almost a nobody at this point, Gunther, who's a heel, like, well, how do you think that those two are going to supersede Cody in 2 years? Not 5, maybe, but in 2 years, they're going to mean more than the main merchandiser seller that's currently a cover boy of like a video game. It was crazy.
Can I make a quick point though?
Please do.
Are we halfway there with Gunther? Killing
I think
careers?
we passed it. We've already passed the 2-year point.
Okay.
We've already passed 2 and Gunther is not on the level of Cody Rhodes.
I think he's on a Cody Rhodes, but does he mean a little bit more?
No,
given his position?
No, in comparison, he don't mean shit.
Okay.
And then Brian, like this is another
Okay.
conversation we can get into. I like Brian. And there was talks on.
Well, Bron's not there. We know for sure Bron's not there. He lost clean to Punk.
He's not. Yeah, there was talks on potentially him winning the Rumble. I'm not sure if you heard that.
I agree.
You heard that?
I agree.
But did you hear those talks that
I'm
he
aware.
was a creative? They were thinking about him winning the Rumble.
Yeah.
Just from a character standpoint,
it would have made more sense in my opinion, based on how he lost clean to Punk. But here we are.
Yeah, but just from a character standpoint, when you watch the show, he just don't seem like he's at that. He seems to be a level under Gunther right now to me.
But what did we talk about a few minutes ago? If they point out a guy that's going to be the guy, the machine gets behind them and they make.
But they are work. Obviously behind them. Because when you watch like the show, like right, I mean, and maybe this might be some story. I mean, I think they had the whole vision in one of these angles, backstage segments. Right, they have Heyman, Paul was there, Theory, Bronson, and I think Logan Paul stood up. Now, to me, he stood up and he's kind of like really commanding the segment, right? He's like, yeah, I think we need to pick somebody to win the Rumble, and I pick Brian. Right? And everybody kind of just like nodded, right? To me, I'm like, man, okay. Like, right? Like they are, you can, when you watch the show, and the way they position him, they're putting him in front of the group, right? So he's the one standing in front. Everyone kind of parts when he comes out so he can be in the front, in the middle. So they were doing everything possible to really showcase him and make him seem like he's the main guy in that vision. And he's just not coming across that way to me. But look, we got
let's
a couple more topics.
Table it. We'll come back to that. Definitely.
What do we got next, Katrina?
All right. So we've got, let's say Triple H has been getting mixed reactions lately. So is he actually doing a good job running creative right now? What do you guys think about that?
So, Brandon, this has been on my brain for quite some time too, man. Because at the last PLE, in Saudi at the Rumble, like the Saudi crew was booing him, like right, and he's been getting a lot of boos for some time, about different things, and I'm of the accord. I don't think he's doing a bad job to be booed. I just don't think he's doing a great job. I think he's doing
like post show.
Yeah, during with the little after show thing they do.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I don't know. Yeah. I think I watched it.
Triple H though, like.
Well, part of so like so this is one of those things. So the internet community has been upset with them again because the black representation wasn't there in the POEs. Certain people weren't getting pushed properly. It's just that a lot of fans, just to put it, just kind of wrap it up quickly, Katrina, is that a lot of people feel like he's not doing a good job with pushing people and pushing the right people in just overall creative. There's like some displeasure overall with some of the ticket pricing, and so like I just overall, it's just like they feel like his creative just isn't there.
Well, they couldn't have been pulling them for ticket prices over there because from what I understand,
they've been paying them prices.
Well, from what I understand, the ticket prices over there, like it's cheaper to fly from here to go see Royal Rumble than it is to buy tickets for actual show here in the United States. So I'm just booing them for that. If they
also it's like the Sami Zayn, the way he lost.
Well, that is
right. The way he lost, the John Cena when he lost. So like it's just the way like some of these matches and feuds are ending. Yeah.
So this makes a little bit more sense to me. I could definitely see them booing Sammy because Sammy's the prodigal son over there, or he's their everything.
Love some Sammy.
Yeah, and he got his ass whooped.
I'm not a big Sammy fan.
I like Sammy.
He too righteous for me. He was fine when he was in the bloodline, I don't like him as an independent. And I definitely didn't like him when he was with KO. But anyway, I can see why they would boo him for that. But I think Matt has mentioned this before, and other people believe this. Sammy's time is next year in Saudi when WrestleMania is there. He's going to win the title over there. And I don't know if he wins the Rumble or Elimination Chamber next year, but one of them two gets him to WrestleMania in Saudi, and he crowns himself as champion over there. So they just need to not worry about that. The overall complaint about Triple H present day, I'm not 100% sure. If it's in the States and they complaining about ticket prices, I get it. As far as creative goes, I don't know. I don't currently have an issue with the way stuff is going in terms of what the IWC wants. Like, who do they want push that's not being pushed in a very top heavy?
Well, think about the John Cena farewell match. You know, when he lost, like right at that match, right? You know, when he came out, they're supposed to be celebrating John Cena's last match, and they booing the hell out of Triple H in the moment, right?
I'm with
Those
you.
are some of the things that caused this discord. Like, yo, it's like, man, look, like I get that what's good, what's right for business is for John Cena to put Gunther over, but me as a fan, what's right for me as a fan, I pay all this money to come here. I want to see him go out on top one more time.
Who's going out on top though?
They wanted John Cena to go out on top.
I know. What greatest of all time wrestler? Ric Flair, Hogan,
Sting in AEW. Sting in AEW retired as a tag team champion. And as a tag team champion. Yeah. Yes, as a tag team.
Nah.
So that's what it is, Katrina.
And he still appears on AEW TV. Didn't he appear at World's End or whatever it was?
No more though. Like I think the last time you saw Sting is the last time he's ever gonna put the makeup on.
Nah, he showed up for a match on some AEW pay-per-view we watched at the end of the year.
But no, he didn't wrestle a match though. He just popped up.
No, he didn't wrestle, but he's still showing his face with a bat, ready to rumble.
Well, we might see John Cena pop up, but he's not going to see him in a match again.
Not to participate in that manner, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the discord, Katrina, is that this is that some of the they wanted John Cena to win his last match. The way Sammy lost at Saudi. So here's the thing about that, and I agree that maybe they want to save next year, and that's part of with creatives. How do you? Okay, I have a plan. I'm like, hey, it'd be a big event to see him win in his home country. If that's what they want to do, that's truly the plan. Okay, how do we get there? How do we continue to drive customer satisfaction, right? So when you book a match with him and Drew McIntyre, maybe you don't beat him all the way down to the ground in front of his home crowd, right? Maybe you give him more of a even Steven, maybe Drew wins. It's one of them pull the rug under somebody. There's ways to do things to make you question, right? Because like Drew decisively beat the guy. Like you don't have to book the match in that type of way. So they might be saying, hey, well, no, I'm building a story that at some point next year, he's using that as motivation to win next year. But people don't want to see that shit. You got to understand, you got to read the room. You got to read the room.
I understand reading the room, but I'm reading the tea leaves. And and if you want to factor in what Drew did this past weekend or last night on SmackDown, he gave it to Jacob and Cody with hopes of having to face Sammy again. And he wasn't successful. So he's big dog and Sammy thinking like, oh, I want him to win. I'll beat the shit out of him again at WrestleMania. And it didn't play out that way. So I think what happens is they spend the next year, Sammy fighting for his life. He'll probably go away for a few months at some point and then reemerge.
Come through as a hero.
Exactly. The story that they're telling with him or will eventually tell with him, I think will be just fine. And if I'm not mistaken, obviously you've been watching a little bit longer than I have because I had this little 20-year hiatus. From what I understand, losing in the hometown was like a Vince special. Like people would
bullshit. And we hated it. And see that's the thing. is that there's so many wrestling tropes that people do or promoters do that people don't like, bro. Break the chain, read the room. Like it's like I don't want to see dude get my ass beat down in my. That's like Cunningham. You go to a game and that mofo lose by 60. I don't want to see that. I want to see Cade win. Like right, like I'm a boo. If I go home and I see my man losing by 60 at home, that'll make me feel good. Oh, but the story is the next time you come, no. How do we tell a story
they got to
without
sell tickets a year from now.
That's that part.
Okay,
it is not ideal. It is not ideal. I'm telling you that right now.
And what he's doing that is correct if you feel this way about him.
No, what I think he's doing correctly, he's booking the average ass shows and telling some average ass stories. So what he needs to do is, and it's lazy because how can you, right? How can you create compelling shows without running down your audience? Like he doesn't do a good job of that. And that's evident. The whole entire John Cena heel thing was horrible. And then it finished horrible. It started horrible. It finished horrible, right? The only thing that was nice is that we hugged at the end. Like, but the entire journey was terrible. And a lot of his major storylines are doing that from year to year after WrestleMania. Was it 40, 41? When did Cody win? Finish your story. Is that 40? Okay. After 40, major storylines in that company have been very mid. They have been very mid. Actually, mid means bad. They've been okay. If I want to give like a letter grade, they're pass. They haven't been great. The storyline, the bloodline story, which started with Vince's era, was good. Like right, Cody's story, which kind of started in Vince's era, was good. Like right, but what major story have we seen take place at the Mania since then that you like? Damn, that's some entertaining TV. That's really good stuff. There hasn't been. Everything has been pretty average for the most part, or underwhelming, to be quite honest.
And that's good. That's what he's doing correct.
Hey, but look, I will say this though. I will say I always try to be fair. It's very hard to create weekly, episodic, yearly television with no break. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I think that he's been in the wrestling bubble with no break for years. So how does he step out to refresh himself creatively? How is he able to go outside and say like, "Hey, let me get a new experience so I can bring that experience to my writing"?
It's even harder to manage weekly episodic TV shows every day without a break across 3 brands.
That's true.
Well, he don't got to worry about NXT. Like, right? Shawn Michaels doing all that down there.
He's got his hand in that too. And I don't disagree with a lot of what you said, but I think what needs to happen, if it's just over SmackDown and Raw, Triple H needs to be truly chief content officer or whatever his title is, and not have a lot of input unless it's like blatantly terrible, but trusting the people to cook. And if they can't cook, then you need to get rid of them for sure. Whatever he did to change SmackDown's writing room has made a difference. I think we can all agree there. Whatever is going on with Raw seems to be sustainable and fine. Every show is not going to be a Madison Square Garden show, in my opinion. So I don't have those super high. I don't have those super high expectations weekly. I just want to see personally specific storylines progress or new ones created. That's kind of what I care about. I'm not into it anymore for like, this is my guy, I love this guy, or I can't wait to see this match. I don't watch for that personally. I enjoy the stories. What drew me back in was the Bloodline storyline. So I like stories, but I also realize every story with whatever faction or individual feud won't be at that level probably ever again. Maybe you get something close to it, but probably never again. So I don't watch with those super high expectations for creative to be outstanding. From what I understand, there was a period where like stuff just didn't make sense when Raw and SmackDown was going on.
That was under Vince, yeah.
Yeah, whatever those Twilight years were, I just weren't watching at that point in
I'll
time.
say this though, Brandon, that's because, as a fan, we kinda continue to watch with lower and limited expectation, and
Mhm.
I feel like that's the problem with sometimes us wrestling the hardcore fans. Like, a casual viewer like Katrina, if there's not a hot storyline that's gonna keep her attention, she's not gonna watch.
I'm not gonna
If
stay
you
tuned in.
if you watch any other show other than wrestling, if there's not a good story, if the story slides off, they lose viewers and people stop watching. Only
And
us
that's
wrestling fans, IWC go like, you know what? I'm okay with seeing a below average story. I'm okay with not necessarily being invested in. I'm gonna tune in anyway.
yeah.
But if you go, hey, this is just popped in my mind. Back in the day, you go to watch Hill Street Blues, and you go turn on an episode of Hill Street Blues, and y'all look. This is me. Like I wanted to give you guys the freaks a heads up. I was like, hey, let's try to do the shows on a Saturday. We typically do the shows at the end of the day, and I'm usually dragging my mind, my personality is like gone. So I'm zany and quirky and stupid all day long. So I want to do it early in the day so I could be me on these shows. But I don't watch Hill Street Blues. I don't even know who's on the show, but it popped in my mind just now, so I wanted to say it. And y'all
Ridiculous.
have to look it up. I don't know what the show is either. But anyway, Hill Street Blues, right? If you for fans, if it's not a good show in Hill Street Blues, you turning that bad boy off. But we don't do that with wrestling. We'll tune in and not necessarily be invested in anything in particular. We won't do that for any other show. I will drop a show real quick if it's boring to me because it's too much content for me to watch than to watch something that I'm not particularly interested in. Like,
And
right?
I'm
So,
with you. You can probably lump me in more of a casual than diehard because when football season is running, I,
We already know.
like
you out.
Raw and SmackDown become secondary, and I
Back
just
show. Yeah.
I catch it when I catch it, so I can follow the pod or participate in the pod. And we've had these conversations on air before of like, is wrestling sucking right now, or is it just football season? And for me, it's usually football season is just king for me. So I
Yeah.
get involved, and I can't do both on most Monday nights. So I'll watch
Yeah.
football and I'll catch Raw in pieces between
And yeah,
Tuesday
trying
and
to stay
Thursday.
up to date. Right.
Yeah. And then I'll try,
Man,
watch SmackDown on Friday night or Saturday and
unfortunately,
rinse and repeat.
Now, go ahead, babe.
unfortunately, the pod's going a little bit longer than I typically expect, but we still got some district content, so we're gonna push through it, y'all.
I was just about to say, wanted
But
to.
I do have an audio clip that I want to play that coincides with this conversation. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. It's from Unreal. It is Road Dogg and Triple H discussing creative of a superstar. Okay. So I played that clip to say this about the creative, right? Because that sounds logical from Triple H. Like, man, who does she keeps title? Who do we have her go against? Right? That's logical. But that's also creatively lazy. Not because she's not the best choice to be champion, not because she's not over with the audience or that the audience wants to see her in that role as champion, but I just don't have anything creative for her because I don't have anybody to face. That's a you problem. That's a you creatively that you don't have somebody ready for them, or you can't come up with creative, interesting stories for someone who deserves to be in that spot. So since I can't be creative enough to create a storyline that keeps somebody where they rightfully should be, I'm going to give them a back seat and put somebody else in that role just to tell a new story because I can't creatively come up with a role for somebody who's best suited for it. That's the problem with Triple H's booking. Logical, like, right? But he's very uncreative. He doesn't know how to keep people in a certain position and create storylines that keep the flow going. And it's been evident since WrestleMania with these storylines. They've been very average to subpar. There's like when the Bloodline thing was going on, Katrina, who very rarely watches TV live with me, when the Bloodline would come on and Roman Reigns would come on, she would stop what she was doing and she would watch those segments. Like, right? There's nothing particularly on right now that's going to stop her from whatever she's doing when she's walking by that's going to draw her in. And we're listening to it in real time, why that's the issue. Brandon, before I get your comments on that, then we can move on. There's another comment. Michael Hayes is on the show, and I think you're aware of it. He was on the Unreal, and he mentioned about Chelsea Green, and he said that something like, "Well, it doesn't matter if we give her 30 seconds or we give her 30 minutes. She's gonna do what she's due. She's not a top girl. She's there to make people look good." Something to that extent. This is what I talk about. This is barbershop. I'm not going to go into specific. It was something like that.
Mhm.
Like, right. So already they're saying that, oh, if I give her 30 minutes or I give her 30 seconds, it's the same thing. No, the audience will rather have 30 minutes than 30 seconds because they're invested in the character. She's over. Also, they're already limited to her potential. Like, oh, we can't put her in the ring with Alexa Bliss. She's gonna get her ass whooped. Why? Like, why? Like, I don't see Alexa Bliss as that big of a star or a better wrestler that Chelsea could potentially be in a feud with her and Chelsea potentially win, or in some kind of nefarious means. She has a whole valet and a crew, somebody interfere. There's a lot of things that you can do with Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair or any of these people to keep the feud interesting because her personality and character can carry that feud. It's not about the wrestling or anything else. So when we talk about Triple H is creative, I feel he's very uncreative. Is he logical? Does things kind of make sense to a point? Absolutely. But creative? Absolutely not.
I don't disagree with you on a lot of that. What they did was they gave Chelsea a backhanded compliment, right?
Hmm.
She's good. She can
Yeah,
do
backhander. Her face is red. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
She can do a lot with a little, or she'll do great with a lot. Perfectly fine. I don't like the conversation of her sort of having a ceiling, but I also acknowledge some stars are just slotted at what they're slotted at until somebody can write a story that's a little bit juicier than what exists for her. Um, there's top stars, there's mid cards, and then there's jobbers or what do y'all call them? Local legends. so, so I totally understand that, but I personally see Chelsea as a little bit more of a star. I think she's capable of tussling with some of the top stars on SmackDown. That would require her to have a little bit of a character change, probably. And I think she's capable of handling that if somebody is confident and comfortable enough in writing that for her and they can get that cleared with creative. But I mean, I think it is what it is. And then I don't know and what time in which I can't remember what time in which that discussion might have been taking place, but that was also like, if you want to put it in the context, around the time when they were building Alexa Bliss and Charlotte into a tag team or what have you. I think I don't know that to be true. Um,
It was, but no, just that he brought them up. Oh, well, brought Alyssa like, oh,
yeah,
who did she face? Like, why couldn't she beat Alyssa? Like, right?
yeah,
Why couldn't she be an entertaining
I agree.
program with Tiffany Stratton? Why,
I
why,
agree,
why,
but
why couldn't she?
and I don't disagree with why you're asking why, but my belief is the why is that interferes with the story of Alexa Bliss and where she's at in her
Mm.
career and what's next. Um, because she's about to probably get screwed over by Charlotte in Elimination Chamber, if you ask me. Um, but if she's losing to Chelsea along the way, her story isn't necessarily being protected for present day. That's my belief. I don't know that to be true. Um, and I'm
Oh no,
not trying to.
I get what you're going, but here's the great
Yeah.
thing about wrestling because I play a lot of video games, I book my own universes, that kind of thing, right? Let's say Alyssa is in a in a match, right? Whoever she's feuding with, let's say it's the Kabuki Warriors. The
Hmm.
Kabuki Warriors run down, they distract. Oscar does this the spit, boom, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Chelsea does a roll up.
That's fair.
Like, right? There's so many ways to have mini feuds in between feuds. It's just you gotta be creative, you gotta work with it, right?
That's
But
fair.
let's continue to go into creative. What we got next, Katrina?
So we're officially on the road to WrestleMania. Does it actually feel big right now to you guys?
Man, look, Brandon, I ain't feeling it, bro.
No?
I ain't feeling I know that Roman and CM Punk had a nice little back and forth exchange. You know, they had a couple, Roman was out there dropping daggers. You know what I'm saying? We like that, right? That's cool. Woo! CM Punk and Roman, they're not doing it for me. I don't know what they're doing on SmackDown. I mean, again, it's very early, but what I'm saying a couple years ago, like, right, with the Cody stories, and even potentially going into, like, the next year when we thought we might get Rock and Roman, right, or we thought we might get Rock and Cody or whatever. There's a lot of excitement about possible WrestleMania matches, right? I don't feel the excitement level, even at this point, for a particular match that's gonna enter right. I mean, it's a lot of time, but I feel like a couple of years ago and the years prior, especially when I was a kid, around this time, there was a one match that I was looking forward to, and I'm like, "Yo, I can't wait till we get there." I don't have that feeling right now.
Before you respond, Brandon, what would make it feel bigger for you, Eshaun?
It's going back to the creative. I like the story. Like, right, there's not a specific story that's been told all year long. I always kinda equate it back to, like, old CW shows I used to watch, Katrina, we used to watch them with me, like, watch Arrow or The Flash, right? You remember
Mhm.
we used to watch those? And
Yeah.
so, every week The Flash had the villain of the week, right? Like, this is a villain he would beat up, but, there was a story in the background. There was a villain that was kinda bubbling in the background that we knew eventually by the end of the season, The Flash is gonna have to get to. Like, right? So you anticipate that all year long for that Flash to meet that villain. I don't have that this year. I don't have that thing that's been bubbling in the background. The closest we have, and I don't know if we're gonna get it, right? I thought maybe a year ago we talked about on the show that maybe Rhea and Io they were eventually gonna, break up and then have a match at Mania, right?
Mhm.
Potentially Charlotte and Alyssa, right? Like their friendship possibly dissolve. Maybe we see it like matches like that to where you've been following these characters and these stories all year long, and then it
Mhm.
finally concludes at the biggest stage in WrestleMania.
Gotcha.
I don't have that this year.
What do you think, Brandon?
I I think it's early. I think it's coming. I remember when we had this conversation last year, it didn't feel like it. There was a lot of uh I felt like the road to WrestleMania, even after Elimination Chamber with the Cena stuff, it felt a little convoluted. And if I'm not mistaken, even leading up to WrestleMania, stuff was a little convoluted. And it feels a little bit different for me this year.
Mhm.
We're not at risk. Well, we're at risk of maybe a triple threat with Cody and Jacob and Drew. That seems like a possibility. How they get there will be how they get there. I think the Punk and Roman match. Again, I don't have a rich history with CM Punk and his time with WWE and when he brought in the Shield and stuff like that. But from what I gather, the history between them two is enough to kind of sell this road to WrestleMania. And I think it'll be fine. I think where it's tricky and where it might not feel like that is the women the women's matches, those aren't close to being settled, and we won't have a better idea probably until after Elimination Chamber when whoever wins that makes a choice of what they want to do. Because Liv clearly don't know what she want to do, but I think it's more likely she'll face Stephanie than Jade. Um, and then everything else, we just don't know everything else about what the matches are going to hold because those haven't been set up yet. And we'll probably know more after Elimination Chamber. Um, I know there's rumors about tickets not selling, and because the tickets are
You
not,
can get 25% off right now.
yeah, and the reason why tickets aren't selling, Triple H is making changes in matches. Like, how do people know he's making changes? And if he is, that don't have anything to do with ticket sales because they haven't announced what the matches
No,
are going to be.
the reason why the tickets aren't selling is because number one, they priced them way up too long
Of
ago,
course.
and because the product
And
was
they're in the
really
same
hot.
places they were last year.
Same place, right? So, like, it's a year later, like, right? The show isn't as hot as it was a year ago, but they still got hot ticket prices. Like, right? That's part of the problem. Like, the show isn't as hot as it was, and, like, a lot of shit's going on right now with people financially, It's like, those and if you don't have a hot product and a hot story and a hot match to sell it, you're gonna have a hard time selling it because they're not
Yeah.
selling the Rock versus Cody for the first time. They're not selling the rematch from Rock versus Cody for the second time. It's not selling the potential of seeing The Rock at WrestleMania against Cody and Roman. There's not a specific selling point for this
Yeah.
show to say, "Hey, I'm gonna charge $10,000 or 15th or whatever it was." You know, the Matt Rhodesia was paying to sit at WrestleMania. Like, right? What's the draw now?
But I think the same people complaining about, oh, you need to push these new stars, but still clamoring for the same old stars at WrestleMania is wild. Like it's got to make sense.
No, no. So, like, if they had if Trick Williams, a new star, was in a hot feud, right? That meant something that you wanted to see, people will pay for it. Like, right? But they just pushed him up there. So you gotta kind of build him. So he's not there
Yeah, they need
I
the
yet.
time to
agree.
build them.
He's not
I
there
I
yet.
agree.
But what they
That's
could have did all
great.
year was build up a story to a match that people want to pay to see at WrestleMania. And they haven't done that.
But I think that's hard to do in today's wrestling world because when we were younger, there was at a Royal Rumble, there was two people you knew that was going to win probably out of the 30 dudes that was going to participate. And you knew who was going to WrestleMania. It's a little bit different now because you have two opportunities to go to WrestleMania. And because you produce so much content, you want to keep people engaged. You can't just streamline Royal Rumble, in my opinion. You can't just streamline a winner from Royal Rumble all of the previous year up until WrestleMania. I personally like there's a little bit more variety now. I know I'm complaining that at one point it was like maybe one or two guys in a Rumble. So there's maybe six now. but of the but of those six, they've all been in heated rivalries over the past year. Um, I think something that they do a little bit better now that they've done probably in the last, at least since I've been watching again, the last 3 to 4 years, is they build matches out of stories that they tell in the Rumble. So, for instance, when was it LA Knight and Drew last year, when somebody got put out before they were supposed to get put out or whatever it was,
Yeah.
that became a WrestleMania match or whatever. I don't necessarily know that you need to build a linear story for somebody to ensure that they're going to be the person that wins WrestleMania. I mean, wins the Royal Rumble and go on to Mania or win Elimination Chamber. I believe this is probably their way of keeping people on their edge of their seat, if you will.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I personally don't have an issue with the road to WrestleMania right now. It is early. We got to get over the next 2 weeks and kind of see what unfolds from there. Um, Last year it felt like it because it just everything was
Yeah.
convoluted. Nothing was etched in stone. It seemed like there were multiple pivots. And even the previous year when the Cody closing his story, those pivots were a little wild. But it still kind of felt like a road to WrestleMania in the midst of the
Mhm.
chaos. Last year, it felt like it was a little shitty for me. This year is not so bad so far.
Hey, you know who should fly people? The people who ain't paying for these tickets prices and they gotta give a 25% off coupon. So we don't ain't giving nobody nothing, man. The fact that they gotta give you 25% off at this point says a whole lot of things about what they're doing around there. Let me tell you. But
Do you think that? But
Well,
what do you think they'll max out at capacity for these shows? Do you think they
it
sell
won't
out
matter.
both
I mean,
nights?
I feel like they'll sell enough tickets to where it'll still be a profitable
a
event
good.
for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean,
They'll
and
be
I
at
think that.
90% capacity at least, in my
And then
opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
once you get down to it, you think about it, and this is, just me always looking towards the future when I make decisions and think about things. Like, if you want to get a WrestleMania experience, let's get it now because it's not going to be here next year. It's going
Not
back to
just
Saudi
that,
next year.
you think about all these things like concerts even nowadays. the tickets are sky high on these concerts, but at the end of the day, you're like, okay, well, I got to see my performer, right? So you pay it.
But one
So
thing,
that's
Katrina,
how the
you
fans
don't
are.
know. One thing you don't know, Katrina, is that WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi next year. This is the first time ever that
Mm.
WrestleMania is not going to be in the States, and it's
Oh,
going to
wow.
Saudi Arabia next year. So for this to be the first time the wrestling community hasn't had a WrestleMania. So like, hey, if you want to go to WrestleMania, this year's the year to do it. Not gonna be able to do it next year, but
Yeah.
it's not driving ticket sales, or people aren't thinking of it that way. I'm not paying for it either way. I'm good with watching it on TV. I watch it on the app. I'm good.
It's a better experience at home, to be quite frankly. I don't mind. Like when we went to SummerSlam, and when I've gone SmackDown and Raw are good to go see live, but and when we went to SummerSlam, I think you remember when we went to Saturday Night Main Event for the Goldberg and Gunther match, we sat on the floor. And I didn't love it that much because Cam had to kind of stand in my lap most of the time, which I don't mind him standing in my lap, but I think it's just better to kind of sit off the floor for shows like that.
And
Yeah.
I remember I warned you. I said, look, don't hit that flow. Don't hit that flow, man. It's
The
like
ticket
it's
prices were
hard
too good.
it's hard to see, man. That's why they was good, brother. Because people know.
The ticket
People
prices were
know.
too good, and it was an experience for Cam. It was for his birthday.
Yeah. It's an
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pay for that. That's actually when you go to a lot of the shows, right? Especially you go to
Yeah.
WrestleMania. It's about the experience, especially if
Yeah.
you've never been. But guys, let's finish up real quick. I got a couple of quick hits, real quick. We can fly through these unless you guys have anything with it. I want to say about AEW real quick. We didn't talk about AEW all the show. I want to say the show is a good show. If you're a wrestling fan, like AEW is putting on a very nice product. I wouldn't say it's go out of your way to see it type product. If you're not necessarily, if you've never been a fan of AEW, I don't think they're putting on content that's going to make you a fan now. But if you've ever been disenchanted, if you've been a fan, you got disenchanted at some point for whatever the reason, this is the time to kind of go back and watch the show. They're doing some nice stuff.
I
And
figured
let you know,
something out.
Katrina, Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Moné, is not dead. She's alive and well in AEW. If you want to see her, let me know. We can watch the episode together. You can see what she's doing. She's alive.
Oh my gosh.
I made
No,
an
she's not
observation.
dead.
I know who the Wrestling Observer newsletter is. It's Eshaun. Shitting on AEW, shitting on WWE all episode, and just gave a lot of praise to AEW. You are WON. That's who it is. They gave out their awards, and they shit all over WWE. And
They did.
You,
I saw a
you
couple
the
of them.
editor in chief. You the editor in chief of that newsletter.
I don't like. A lot of people report the Observer Awards. I don't know why, man. Because it's a very if you're paying for the Observer, like you're gonna have a certain mentality about wrestling. Like, right? And Dave is a big AEW guy. He has
Is that who oversees it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's his thing.
Okay.
And so here's the thing about and like Katrina, Dave Meltzer, he's a prominent figure in the internet journalism community. Probably the biggest name probably in wrestling journalism. And he's friends with Tony Khan. Like there was a show that he was doing on live. He's doing a live show, and he's an old dude. He's legit an old dude. I think he's like somewhere in his 60s. So old people, they need. So when his phone rings, it's the person's name, right? So that's an old person thing to do when when he's sitting there doing the show, and then his phone rings, Tony Khan, right? Tony Khan's calling this man, so they're on the phone talking to each other. So when you're friends with somebody, you're not going to be as critical as you probably should be, and you're going to cover them probably a little more positive. Not to say you can't be objective at times, but obviously a lot of his commentary is going to be more positive than negative, and so his fan base is also going to probably echo that segment as well. So I don't put much stock in those reviews, man. But I don't know if he was the worst. Triple H was the worst booker. But he wasn't the best booker either. And I don't know.
I don't remember all the awards, but they shit on.
Now he had the worst booker, right? And they voted Tony the best booker, and
they said AEW was the best weekly show.
I mean, goddamn. I mean, it's better. I don't know if it's like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he wins by default, I guess. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I guess because like when you watch the show, they are like the people that are put in front of you are very likable. Like right, the match, the show kind of flows quite nicely. So it is a nice show. Maybe it wins by default, I guess.
Just not in the AEW like that. I like the pay-per-views, but I've never sunk my teeth into a story that I really enjoyed that made me
they don't have
watch
those kind of
weekly.
stories. They don't really have those kind of stories. There's stories, so I think it's unfair to say they don't have stories, but their stories on AEW are definitely there to drive you to the match. Versus a lot of times with WWE, it's kind of the other way around. They're telling stories that happens to have a match in it. Right?
Yeah. The
AEW
only
the
thing
other
that
way.
I'm aware of, I followed and kind of loosely was the Swerve and Hangman thing, and I caught a lot of their stuff online. And then that MJF mask stuff, which ended up being kind of terrible.
Yeah,
and then
horrible story.
I haven't followed a whole lot, but the story of the Young Bucks kind of losing everything is, whenever I've seen it, it's been pretty funny.
Yeah. And that actually was a decent story because it was a story that kind of got them back to like their roots. They're kind of like almost hybrid old school Bucks, which is a good look for them. And then two last things, just free agents in wrestling. Tommaso Ciampa's in AEW. He won a championship.
Quick.
And then he lost the belt like next week.
He lost?
Yep.
Oh, no.
You're lying.
There's that. Nope. And then we got Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs from AEW.
See, that's why I don't want
going to WWE. Like, right. And I think that, Hobbs had a little bit of a, now the Royce Keys had maybe a lackluster introduction to the WWE audience. And I think that's only because he's at the wrong Rumble. Like, right? Because in Saudi, Brandon, because you remember when he got introduced, they had Titantron. Like, it wasn't really a reaction to him. And that's just because that Saudi crowd doesn't know him because they don't have AEW there. They don't watch AEW there. So they wouldn't know him. So that's part of the creative shit that I talk about with Triple H, man. So you got to kind of think about that. Like, your audience. Like, should I put Powerhouse Hobbs or the new Royce Keys in front of an audience that doesn't know him? Or should I wait and bring him to a Chicago crowd? Like, right? AEW goes to Chicago every week almost. Like, so that he would definitely get a nice reaction and that would come across well on television versus bringing him in front of a cold crowd. But saying that to say this about the free agents, I think it's a good time for those type of guys to move around because Tommaso was a little stagnant. He wasn't doing a whole lot in WWE. He got kind of at that pitching like, this is where you're going to be. We don't see you going here. We don't see you wrestling this guy or being in this title picture. And Hobbs has been around AEW for a long time, kind of doing the same shit for a long time. So this is a good opportunity for guys like that to go somewhere else and make some noise. And Ciampa's already doing it. He's already won a championship and lost it on his first title fit. So he's off to the races.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Where did Royce Keys sign? Was it SmackDown or Raw? Or have they?
Did you see him on SmackDown? I didn't watch SmackDown. Did you see him on SmackDown? Yeah.
I didn't see him on SmackDown, and I could have missed it because there was a little bit of a segment that I didn't, or a few segments I didn't see within that last hour. But,
I didn't see him on Raw either, so I don't know. I haven't seen him since he was at Raw. I haven't seen him since Rumble, so I don't know what you're doing with him.
I think presentation is going to be important for him too, and I don't know that he possesses that same star power the guys we talked about before. But I'm also not super familiar with Hobbs outside of the little bit that I saw in AEW. So I don't know if he had a former stint in like NXT or anything like that. So I don't know if he's got a big following, but I think presentation is going to keep for him.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have the it like the guys we talked about earlier, but there's something to him. How far he goes, I hope he goes as far as he can. But I definitely see, like, for instance, Carmelo Hayes, right? You can't put Carmelo back with Trick. Because, like, back when they got together originally, Carmelo looked like the star, and Trick really played off him pretty well. Like, right? But right now, Trick is like that guy. He's such an uber, like, ultra it guy that I think he will swallow up Carmelo. But if you want to give Carmelo another heel run at some point, you want to give him like a bodyguard type, Hobbs will excel in a role like that. And then lastly, Brandon, right before we check off, Bron Breakker got injured, man. I guess he got injured working out, something like that. So I'm not sure when we're going to see him again.
I think I saw a rumor, or maybe I heard it on Matt and Rhodesia's show, actually. It was the spot where he lifted the table after being upset about the Rumble. And he probably ripped his balls at that point.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's got a hernia, Katrina. He got hernia surgery. So allegedly it was during that spot. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah.
You gotta be careful with the balls, man. You know, you can't play around.
All right, babes.
With the ball. Yeah, if you ever had like 6 years, you ain't got to worry about it. You never had a sore ball before, but it ain't nice, man.
I've had other issues.
You don't want them. No. You don't want them things dangling the wrong way, brother. I mean, sister, you don't want. You want them things. You want them balls to be as healthy as possible.
Okay.
So
thank you so much.
So yes, ma'am. So Brian and his balls, man. I hope you get well soon. Do not rush a WrestleMania match, man. Make sure them balls is up to standard, my friend. So, peace and love to you guys. And hey, freaks, we did it, man. We gave y'all almost an hour and 30-minute podcast. But it's been way too long. We had a lot to talk about. So we will continue to try to bring these shows to you guys on Saturday. Thank you to my beautiful wife. You guys see how beautiful she is. And you guys see how beautiful she is soon enough. We'll get it. She's shy. We'll get that box.
They've seen me before.
That was like 5 years ago. We'll get that box. We'll get that box going pretty soon. Should be more.
Hey, you can't say that way. Talk about getting her box ready. They can't.
We're talking about boxes and balls, man. It's Saturday, but it's still that's freaking wrestling. You know what I'm saying? We some freaks, man.
Exactly.
So,
you got some freaks out there.
Look, thank you for viewing. Please like and subscribe. Check that bell if you have not, so you can be available and ready for all this new content. We will see you guys around the way. Take care.
Take care.